What do you know? Here we are again. Let's go. On this Wednesday, welcome into the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I'm Matt. Beaver is here. That's really important. Yeah, it's interesting the way it works, though. Like, reality is that the least important person here is me, because nothing happens unless everybody else is here. We're on the air because of Beaver, and we have a reason to be on the air because of you. I appreciate you tuning in. Hey to you on this Wednesday. Get on in here. You can be a part of the show. I hope you will be a part of it. Text me or call or comment on the live stream. Okay, and here is that info. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, just type a comment in. When you post it, it pops up on this screen right here, one nice, neat column, and then I can click it and pop it up on the screen for everybody else to see. So get in there that way. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. That number to text is 885-3776. 601 number, 885-3776. Text away. Not if you're driving. Otherwise, text me. I'd love to hear from you. Anything you want to get into is cool with me. And then you can call me. I get to hear your voice that way. That'd be good. I'd enjoy that. I think others would too. Hear somebody else's voice other than mine all the time. And the number to call is 897-1059, just like the radio station, 1059. 897-1059. That's the number to call. Who was it? Okay, it was somebody last week. I can't remember who it was. When we were all in New York, and I was doing the partial radio show from the hotel room up there in New York, and someone asked about fight songs and stuff, and I couldn't play it because I didn't have that set up. I didn't pack the iPad for the trip. I can't remember who requested it. I'm pretty sure it was a Sonic Boom. So whoever that is, this is for you. The JSU Sonic Boom, and I think it's the energy we all need on a Wednesday. Come on. Get on in here, text or call. Grumpy, I'm coming to your text. Hang on. Roll your window down, turn it up to 11. All right. Enjoyed that. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed it. I just got through telling you how important Beaver is to the show, and then I played the Sonic Boom. He used to not like him. I think he does now. He used to. He wasn't the biggest fan. Maybe we should update that. Beav, happy Wednesday, sir.
You too, Matt White.
You a big fan of the Sonic Boom now?
Well, I wouldn't say fan, but
okay,
it's fine. They're good at what they do.
Who's
go to football games to watch the band? Cool.
I would. I think if I went to a Jackson State game, I'd want to be close to the band. I just want to see it, hear it, experience it one time. Have you ever told Rob J that you're not as big a fan of Sonic Boom as the rest of us are? Have you ever told him that?
No, it's never come up.
Okay. You mean you've spent all that time around Rob J and the Sonic Boom has never come up?
Oh, it's come up, but we don't get into talks about it.
Okay.
I don't really talk about Jackson State that much because I don't really care about Jackson State that much.
Okay.
Quote unquote football.
You say quote unquote football?
I like real conferences.
My man. and you're not even trying to like spit out a hot take just to fire everybody up. You really are being honest, aren't you?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay.
SWAC's not real.
Well, maybe the conference as a whole. Here's the thing that I have a lot of respect for when it comes to Jackson State football. I would not dare stand here and try to do like a lot of radio people do, Beaver, and pretend to be an expert in everything. Okay, I'll admit I'm not. In fact, I'm not much of an expert in anything. It's weird, Beav. The things that I am an expert in, pretty much nobody knows it. And the things that some have tried to portray me as an expert in, I'm really not. Yeah, I know a lot about football, and I can describe X's and O's and pick a lot of it out, but I don't know that I'm an expert. You know, radio, podcasting, media, yeah, okay, but I don't know that I'm an expert. I'm an expert, Beaver, when it comes to cameras, camera gear, AV, audio, video, equipment, technology, software. I know frontwards, backwards, all points in between, 3 different, nonlinear editor softwares for video editing. I could teach classes on those if I want to. Nobody knows that or cares. So what I'm saying is I humbly stand before everybody here and say I'm not an expert on Jackson State football or the history of that kind of thing. But I do have a lot of respect for them. One, they've got multiple, former athletes in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Peyton, Slater. And from an attendance standpoint, they set the bar for all of what used to be Division I AA, and now it's the FCS. They set the bar for all of the FCS. The entire FCS level of football around the country wishes they could draw the attendance to their games that Jackson State does, and I have a lot of respect for that. Other than that, I'm just not an expert. And I do know, again, I'm not an expert on music, but I am a fan of the JSU Sonic Boom and kind of the way they go about it.
You know what time it is.
Come on, Beef. Do it with me, Beef. One more. What did Grumpy send me with a picture? Grumpy texted me with a picture and says, Matt, MRA 6th grade football practice in full go, featuring number 28, Holt Grumpy, right guard, and some time at running back when a touchdown is needed. Hopefully future All-SEC Hail State. Wait, time out. Grumpy, are you saying that your namesake in the 6th grade at MRA is playing on the offensive line but also wears number 28? He wears a number 28 jersey? Because that would be highly, highly unusual. I mean, it makes sense if he's running the ball. But I didn't know you could. Maybe they have different rules. You get on up in high school and college, they have rules about what numbers your jersey has to be if you're playing on the line of scrimmage, like on the offensive line. But that's pretty cool. Full pad practices. Bama fan texted the show. What'd he say? Look at there. Bama fan said, "Roll Tide, Beaver. You the man." Sing along, Bama fan. What did Jason say about Dan Mullen wearing shorts? Hold on, I'll get to that. There's all kind of cool lyrics in the Yay Alabama fight song. You need to look them up if you haven't already. See if you can pick some of them out here. Nobody knows what it is. You have to slow it down. I've told you that before. Bama's pluck and grit have writ her name in crimson fame. How about that? You talk about a lyric. Okay. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, I have a question. Due to the ridiculously exaggerated scandal of the legend of Dan Mullen's shorts on 105.9 The Zone, quoting Chicken Hawk, The Zone, yesterday, he said, I spent way too much time revisiting that 2016 season, and I can't help but wonder why Damian Williams didn't work out. Why? Well, Jay, as to why he didn't work out, I don't really know, but I know that the thing is, there was Fitz, who they wound up building that whole thing around for a couple of years, and in pretty short order, he became the best rushing quarterback in Southeastern Conference history. So that might have been the big reason it didn't work out, is because there was Fitz over there in the mix, and he won it and all that kind of stuff. Brown Hornet texted and said, Matt, tell B, don't be a hater. The band is part of the football game experience. He just needs to go to more games. And Brown Hornet says, and that's coming from an SEC guy. Well, we'll be doing it real soon. I looked this up. Look, really, so today's the 6th. Hold on, I'm doing the math on this. Today's Wednesday the 6th. So we're looking at the 9th for this Saturday. Yeah, 2 weeks. No joke, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Saturday, August 23rd. That is week 0. Teams like Iowa State and Kansas State, Stanford, and it seems like Hawaii always plays on week 0. They're calling it week 1. They're just including 2 weeks in there, which I got a problem with that. But I digress. Right now, I go over to the phone line, the opportunity we have to get to hear other voices other than my stupid voice all the time. It's Wayne on line 1. What's up, Wayne? Thanks for calling.
Man, I told Beaver I just went to Logan Steakhouse at Pearl, and I'm miserable.
Okay, you went to what steakhouse?
Logan's at Pearl.
Okay, and you said you were miserable?
Yeah, I ate a 22-ounce porterhouse, baked sweet potatoes, some mozzarella stick, steamed shrimp.
Did you say you ate a 22-ounce?
22-ounce porterhouse.
With a lot of other stuff?
Yeah, steamed shrimp, 2 rolls.
Oh, boy.
Broccoli.
Okay.
Sauteed mushrooms.
Hey, when you lost me at broccoli. Why did you eat broccoli? What was the point of that?
I just like broccoli.
Okay. All right.
Well, I done gave up on the Braves.
Oh, hey, look, everybody else is giving up on them too, Wayne. Did you see the attendance at their home game? I think it was last night, the night before. It was terrible.
But like I said, they can't hit the ball. They had 7 hits but scored 1 run.
Yeah. Out on the Braves.
Money Mike and that left field, they struck out with the bases loaded. If it was up to me, I wouldn't even let Acuna play no more this year.
Yeah, that certainly wouldn't help.
All the pictures were hurt. And Acuna, I let Riley play, but Acuna, he could go down to that Achilles, and he don't need that.
Yeah. Well,
Shannon Bach or whatever, he's going to have arm surgery.
Yeah, they've been banged up. It's just not their year, at all.
All right, brother, we all have a good day.
All right, you too. Hang in there, Wayne.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
22-ounce porterhouse. And what else did he say? 2 rolls. Something else with it. Potato, broccoli. I said, why? What's the point of the broccoli? He said, I just like broccoli. JC texted the show, Country Pleasing text line. He said, to the guy that ate the 22-ounce steak and all that other food, he's got a question for you. How big a old boy are you? I've met Wayne. He's a big one. He's nearly as big as I am. But I don't know. I think I could eat a 22-ounce steak, but I'd have to be really, really hungry, I think, to do that. Bama fan did text the show, and he says, Matt, that fight song gives you chills, doesn't it? Roll Tide. Roll. Roll Tide. ROWTYDE. Bama fan, I told you I was in South Alabama. I was somewhere between Ozark and Dothan. This was several years ago. I was going to visit my dad, and I stopped at a red light, and the car in front of me was like one of the old Chevy Blazers, that had the hatch on the back, the one glass that was big, back windshield and whatever you call it, and the hatch. So it had a lot of room, a lot of space, a lot of real estate on the back of that old Chevy Blazer. And they had the big stick-on letters all across the windows, 2 words, one on top of the other. And it said, Tide Life. And it was spelled TYDELYFE. Tide Life. And when it's spelled like that, see, even though you pronounce the letter Y as Y, you can't say tide. It's tide. You and I both know it. It's Tide Life. I've never forgotten that. Headlines are coming up in a minute, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. Go to mortgagemanms.com. Headlines around the corner. Nick texted the show. He says, I'm an expert on the life and times of George Costanza. Hey, Nick, Beaver is too. Beaver is an expert on the life and times of George Costanza. In fact, Nick, I would, if you two were pitted against each other when it came to Seinfeld trivia, I would pick Beaver. Nick, I bet Beaver has also one-upped you with the decor in his house. I'm just saying, Nick, and I got respect for your knowledge of Seinfeld. I still think you're chasing Beaver. I'm just being honest with you. Blitz. Bulldog Blitz texts the show. Country Pleasing text line. He says, I know why Jason can't figure out about Damian Williams. It's because Jason doesn't know from Shinola when it comes to sports. Blitz. Well, why would you say that about Jason? I actually think Jason does know a lot about sports and has been right about a lot of things over the years. I mean, you got beef with Jason? I mean, really, Blitz, what happened? What did Jason ever do to you? Scott texted the show after he heard what Wayne ate for lunch. Beaver, where did he say? Was it in Pearl that he went? I think that's right. I think he said Logan's in Pearl. Scott said, for the love, I need a nap after hearing what he ate. I couldn't quite catch all of it. Wayne was talking to us on, I think it sounded like he was on his speakerphone, so he sounded really far away. But 22-ounce porterhouse, 2 rolls, I think he said potato or something like that, broccoli, and then something else. Unnamed texter, this is for you, Bama fan. Unnamed texter responded and said, around the bowl, down the hole, roll, tide, roll. You ever heard that one? I think I heard that one from an Auburn kid in kindergarten. Selma, Alabama, Mrs. Wilson's kindergarten class at a school called Meadowview. And I think an Auburn kid said that. So we're talking, what are we talking about? 1980, 80? About 80, 81, somewhere around there. Be about the first time I heard it. Scott texted and he said, the second game of the season, I will get to see the Sonic Boom when they play at Southern Miss. He said, I'll get back to you with a report. Looking forward to them. Oh, Scott. Definitely get back to us with a report on that, man, because so about a month from right now. I've only had that experience once. It was 2009 season opener. State hosted Jackson State, and Sonic Boom came and they performed at halftime and everything. But during the game, they put them on the west side underneath the press box, and even though they were, they're the horns, the brass, their instruments were pointed away from us. It's still by far the loudest band I've ever been in the same stadium with. So, yeah, get back to us with a report on that. I'd be curious. Okay, we are underway here on this Wednesday. When we come back, we'll hit some headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group. That's coming up, plus your texts and your comments on the live stream. All that and more. Back after this. Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. Say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion, and no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar, or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen.
1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance. Headlines, here we go.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Luminate Bank right here in Mississippi. The Metro, places like Tupelo and Oxford and Starkville, all the way to Memphis and all points in between. Anything mortgage related, buying, refinancing, whatever, that's where you want to go. And find them online at mortgagemanms.com. Yeah, okay, Gene, let's just go with that. Headline number 1, Gene on Facebook says Jake Mangum drove in 2 runs and Brent Rooker had 3 RBIs yesterday. Rooker had a 4-for-6 game, and the A's busted out for 14 runs. And, yeah, Jake got on track, couple of hits, or 1 hit, drove in 2, had another web gem. And that leads us to this headline, talking about those 2 former Diamond Dogs in particular. They are recipients of the Heart and Hustle Award that each team gives out. It was announced by the Major League Baseball Players Association yesterday. The Heart and Hustle Award. So 30 individual team winners in the American League. On the A's, it was Brent Rooker, and on the Rays, it was Jake Mangum. How about that? Hey, and look, side note, go look it up. Brent Rooker is having one heck of a year. What is he up to for home runs? Is he up to 24, 25 by now? I know he was right at 20 or so by the All-Star break. And he's, like I say, he had a 4-for-6. He's an All-Star. Had a 4-for-6 night last night, drove in some runs. And his average is sitting there this year at 275. He's a 275 hitter. Now, with the little bit of a slump that a guy like Jake Mangum, who's hovered over 300 all year long, he's going through a little bit of a slump, so it brought him down there in the 280s. Rooker's like just a few points behind him and he's going to hit 30, 40 home runs before this thing's over with. Brent Rooker is having one heck of a year. Yeah, all right, hats off. Heart and Hustle Award winners. Who was the Brave? Oh, they gave it to Olsen of the Braves, for those that want to know. But the Rays recipient was Jake Mangum. A's recipient, Brent Rooker. And let's put this one out there because we're on baseball and because Beaver mentioned this, I think, yesterday. The Brewers have just capped off the best 60-game stretch in team history. The best 60-game stretch in team history. 5-game win streak. They've won 6 straight on the road. They are 44-16 in their last 60 games. How about that? All right. Next, over to football. Headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, online at mortgagemanms.com. What is this all about? The Cleveland Browns will start rookie Shedeur Sanders at quarterback for the team's preseason opener against the Carolina Panthers on Friday. 5th-round pick. They had also picked Dillon Gabriel ahead of him in the 3rd round. They've been competing with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett. They recently signed Tyler Huntley. Some of them are hurt. They are going to start QB1 reps for the Cleveland Browns in their preseason opener against the Panthers is going to go to Shedeur Sanders, former Jackson State quarterback, former Colorado Buffalo, whose number is now retired. We're not sure why, but it is. His number is, in fact, retired. And those are your headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank here in Mississippi. Online at mortgagemanms.com. That's mortgagemanms.com. Earlier on YouTube, Hail State fans said, safe to unmute my volume now? I have enough customers that are Alabama fans. When they start chirping, I remind them that they lost to Vanderbilt and Saban doesn't coach them anymore. Yeah. What do we make Alabama? That's okay. That's another schedule that I have not really looked closely at. Now, when we got into the discussion 2 days ago, I think it was, about who had the easiest or weakest schedule in the SEC, I pulled it up and looked at the helmet schedule they make every year. And like I said, it will not fit on one screen anymore. It does require scrolling in a couple of directions because, one, you've added all these teams, and two, everybody's got 2 open dates this year because the calendar is going to start it in August. But Missouri, by far the weakest, easiest schedule in the league, but it does have Alabama on it. So what about Alabama's schedule? Let's see. Yeah, so they're opening on the 30th at Florida State. So, 3 Saturdays? You get to this weekend, you'll be 3 weeks away. And they open at Florida State. Then home games, back-to-back home games with ULM and then host Wisconsin. Okay. And then have an open date before going to Georgia. I'll tell you one thing. Look at that first 4-game stretch for Alabama. It does include an open date week 4. So 3 straight, then an open date, and then they play their 4th game the last Saturday in September. But look who they are. Their first 4 games include road games at Florida State and Georgia and a home game with Wisconsin. That's a heck of a start to the year for them. Tough. Then for Alabama, October is Vandy at home, at Missouri, Tennessee at home, and then at South Carolina. And last year, South Carolina was taking it to them until their South Carolina quarterback, just before halftime, had a couple of boneheaded things where he just sort of lost concentration, lost track of what was going on, didn't really manage the game, and kind of gave the momentum to him, and they never could get it back. Alabama's off the first Saturday in November, which is November 1st. And so they finished then the year on a 4-game stretch of LSU at home, Oklahoma at home, Eastern Illinois at home, and then the Iron Bowl is in Auburn. So it's interesting, like Alabama's schedule is kind of, balanced with these open dates sort of equidistant from each other. A 3-game stretch that includes Florida State and Wisconsin to start the year, then open. Then a 5-game stretch that includes a road game at Georgia, a home game with Tennessee, and 3 other SEC games. Off. And then the final 4-game stretch that's 3 straight home games, which includes LSU, and then playing the Iron Bowl on the road. It's not an easy schedule. By any stretch, it is not an easy schedule. When you look at the fact that Alabama's 4 non-conference games are Eastern Illinois, Louisiana Monroe, Wisconsin, and Florida State. Of course, Florida State stunk last year, but who knows what they are? Who knows what they are year to year? That's not an easy schedule. Hunter texted the show. He says, "Hey Matt, Did Beaver have to invest in a dump button after yesterday's passionate discussion? Does radio still have a dump button? And if so, what is it? Our show's song could be the Sonic Boom. You're talking about the Neck song. We had the controversy on the lyrics. Yeah, it's my understanding there's still a delay when you need it. A dump button delay. We didn't need it yesterday. We didn't need it. That's no big deal. I mean, it really wasn't. Okay, I touched on this earlier. Saturday, August 23rd, you will have your first FBS college football games that'll take place on Saturday, August 23rd. A week before everybody else. Everybody else gets going on the 30th. That I see you got 5 FBS games on Saturday, August 23rd. That's 2 weeks from this Saturday. You'll have Iowa State at Kansas State. I'm sorry, that's in Ireland. They're playing it in Ireland, so it's not at Kansas. It's Iowa State versus Kansas State in Ireland. You got Idaho State, that's a new one, at UNLV. So Dan Mullen, debut with the Running Rebels 2 weeks from this Saturday, hosting Idaho State. I didn't know there was an Idaho State. And then you'll have Fresno State at Kansas. You'll have Sam Houston at Western Kentucky in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then you'll have a night game from Honolulu, Hawaii. Of course, I say night. It's 6:30. It'll be middle of the day there. Stanford and Hawaii on CBS. National broadcast from Honolulu 2 weeks from this Saturday at 6:30. So those are the 5 games. Man, you're close. You are really close to watching games that actually matter. All right. More of your texts, more of your comments coming up in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Back after this.
"25 minutes after curfew.
Still no word.
That moment when every parent starts to worry.
And I'm sure she's fine.
It's what inspired us to make C Spire's nationwide 5G network so fast and reliable, you can always stay connected to the ones you love.
Oh, wait, that's her now.
And sleep easy, even 26 minutes after curfew.
Hey, I'm back.
To sleep even easier, get your choice of free phone plus double data on all prepaid plans. C Spire, customer inspired. 5G not available in all areas. See cspire.com for details.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
What could you make possible as an organ, eye, and tissue donor? Leave behind the gift of life. Go to organdonor.gov. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
This portion of the Matt Wyatt Show is brought to you by Ameristar Casino in Vicksburg. Ameristar Casino in Vicksburg is your place for quality entertainment. Be it the End Zone Sportsbook, where you can not only play the game, but watch any sport you want year-round. Check out Bella's on the second floor. Also the Heritage Buffet and Bourbon Steakhouse on the third deck. And don't forget about the Red Lotus Asian Cuisine on the bottom floor across from the End Zone. The Bottleneck Blues Bar on the weekend. So stay play and dine at Central Mississippi's premier gaming destination, Ameristar Casino Hotel. Gambling problem? Call 888-777-9696.
This is Jake Mangum, former Mississippi State Bulldog. I know a thing or two about the value of a strong team. Farm Bureau works hard to get me through thick and thin. They've got exceptional customer service and competitive insurance rates that keep me protected. If you aren't already on the team, it's time to join Farm Bureau. Visit favrates.com for great rates on home and auto insurance, or find a local agent at msfbins.com. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Do you crave your sports?
It's often difficult to satisfy that special hunger.
Not here, because you've got Matt Wyatt.
Oh, I am starving.
Don't worry, he's got a menu full. On the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team. Practices going on all over the place. Looking forward to later this week and this weekend getting to catch some Mississippi State Bulldogs practice. See what the Bulldogs look like, sound like, all that. I got a feeling they're going to be a little better. You know, the schedule's really tough. Who knows what it equates to? A lot of it depends on week to week who's healthy, but I got a feeling State's going to be a little better this year. Some ways it couldn't be worse, but I think they're going to be better. It's just a matter of what it all means. But I'm looking forward to going and seeing it. From what I hear from some folks, really good energy. That's a little different. Defensively, things are a little different over there in practice because they added some pieces like Paul Rhodes, Mike McIntyre, old vets that really been around the block and been through it. They got better players, or more of them, certainly on the defensive front. So they're going to be a little better. Go check them out. And yeah, I'll watch quarterbacks. I tell you, the times that, I've gone to practice over the years, especially lately, last 5, 6, 7 years, I would always go, with the intention to work it in, to spend some time, hanging around the quarterbacks group and watch them and that kind of thing. And then I get out there and I just tend to gravitate over to where the linemen are. I like watching them. And I don't know, it's just the constant idea or knowledge in my head that you're going to win and lose based on those guys. So I always wind up spending more time standing around watching the offensive linemen work and just kind of looking at them and seeing who's quick and who can move and who's in the doghouse and who isn't. And the defensive line group too. Like, I don't know. I just have such an appreciation for them. These big 300-pound guys who can absolutely fly. And you just go watch individual time with, an SEC defensive line group. If you could watch it on the ground, like stand next to their sled or, next to those chutes that they go through to stay low and the different drills and watch them, it'll blow you away that how can anybody that big carrying that much musculature move like that? How do they move like that? So I got a great appreciation for them. But I am absolutely, I resolve to do it, to go and watch the quarterbacks. Because, you got some competition going. I think Shapen's your starter, but they don't know who's going to be your immediate backup and how all that's going to shake out. And so I'm going to go watch some of that. Hunter texted on the Country Pleasing text line. He said, "Hey, Matt, do you have any two-a-days stories you can share?" Well, yeah, I do. I have a bunch. Let's see, two-a-day stories we could share. I don't know. Like, there's a specifics. I don't know. Something would have to come up to spark a specific story from two-a-days. But whenever the idea of two-a-days comes up, Hunter, I usually get off into the old guy spiel of, man, it sure was tougher when I was there, because we had 2 practices a day. We would do it for like 15 straight days, two-a-days. And you had full pads on for at least one of those every day. Some days you'd have them full pads on for both. And now it's outlawed. You cannot have 2 practices a day against the rules. And did you know this, Hunter? A few years ago, the NCAA told them, not only can you not practice twice a day, you can't practice in full pads on consecutive days. Yeah, did you know that? Sure did. A few years ago, I was out there and talking with Jay Hobson, and Jay played at Ole Miss. He's coached everywhere in the world, Michigan, Memphis. He was head coach at Southern Miss and Alcorn. He was on Mike Leach's off-field staff. That was before he went to South Alabama and coached in the secondary. He said, man, it's like Club Med out here compared to what it used to be. I mean, used to, it was something to dread. I mean, it really was. It wasn't quite as bad as like some of the basic training stuff that the soldiers go through, but I mean, it was something to dread. But it's not. Preseason camp and practice is not something for those guys to dread anymore. Not physically, anyway. Every time you turn around, there's somebody giving you cold water to drink. I'm just saying it was not that way. Hunter also said our defense was 126 in total defense. Would finishing 75th be too much to ask? And he says that would be a phenomenal year in my opinion. I like where your head's at there, Hunter. I don't myself know exactly how to equate this broad term of like improvement and I also don't know how to look at something like that and know exactly how it would translate to wins and losses. But yeah, okay, if you go, you're going to be 50 spots better statistically on defense compared to where you were a year ago, and you're going to have that. You're saying, well, what if you go from 126 in total defense to 75th? We're talking about climbing the ladder 50 spots. That's a really significant climb statistically, and the context is statistically you would do that with the schedule that you have, with this really tough schedule, an SEC schedule. Then absolutely I would say that's enough to where after what we all went through last year watching State's defense, it would feel much different this go round. If you're watching a defense that statistically is going to be 50 spots better compared to the rest of the country as they were a year ago, then watching them game to game, series to series is going to feel much different. There are going to be times when with that much improvement, they're getting off the field and you're going, man, we made them go 3 and out and punt. been a while. It's been 2 years since I've seen that, you know. This game is close. Then we're getting stops. And then it puts some pressure back on your offense. So I would say, yeah. I mean, I would love to see that too. Tall task. I don't know who yet is going to emerge and for sure be your top 4 corners. So you're going to have a 1 and 2 that are technically your starters, and then a 3 and 4 that rotate in and play a whole bunch. And the thing you think about with corners too is your whole group never stays healthy throughout the whole year. Somebody always gets hurt. But those guys have the chance to be a lot better at their position because State's going to be a lot better up front defensively. State's really good at safety. You know, that's the thing about that too. You look at that. It's a pretty deep group. They're really good there. I mean, it's for sure one NFL player with Smith, but it may be another. But the big red circle, Hunter, is around their defensive line, period. J-Rock says schools don't listen or respect the NCAA anymore when it comes to the pay for play. So I wonder what would happen if they just practice a 2-a-day whenever they wanted to. Yeah. Well, see, and the thing is, J-Rock, a lot of schools, since they did that, the full padded practices, which leads to full contact, and saying you couldn't do it 2 days in a row, and then everybody got around it, you know, because they would wear what do they call them? The shells? Not the shells, but what am I saying? Well, I guess basically, in layman's terms, J-Rock, the next day they still have on shoulder pads and helmets. They just may not have on the pants with the pads in them, and they're still full speed. Still full contact. They're tackling people. That's what a lot of them do. And get around that stuff that way. Jake from Yazoo said, 2-a-days in my time in Yazoo. Whoo! He said, Fanny's Blue Plate lunch, 2 Kool-Aids, and 2 sweet teas. He said, rest in peace, Mr. Horace and Mrs. Fanny. Probably consuming 6,000 calories a day in high school. I mean, no doubt, Jake, when you were practicing 2-a-days, you almost couldn't get enough calories. Okay, Scott said shells was correct. That's what we called it. Do they call it something different now, though? Maybe they do still call it shells. But that's what I'm saying, Scott. They'll have on shoulder pads and helmets, so technically it's not a full pad practice. They're still hitting each other. It's still full contact. Especially in there in that line of scrimmage, it's still full contact. It's just, I'm really, nowadays, college fan, it's such a drag the rest of the year because of all the transfer and portal stuff that it sure is sweet feeling when we get 2 weeks away from ball games. Man, I sure am glad we're here. All right, hour 2 coming up right after this in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. Stick around.
It doesn't matter that business took you 1,000 miles from home, or that you totally nailed the presentation, and that the team is going to be celebrating long into the evening. What matters is you were there to say goodnight.
Sweet dreams, honey. Mommy will be home tomorrow.
C-Spire nationwide 5G, inspired by the most important business of the trip.
Are we ready to order?
And right now, get the latest 5G phone on us. C-Spire, customer inspired. 5G not available in all areas. See cspire.com for details.
Get ready to roll for cash and free play with Waterview Casino's $50,000 Roll to Riches. Winners are drawn every 30 minutes on Saturdays from 5 to 10 p.m. for a shot to roll the giant dice and win up to $50,000 in cash. Earn entries daily with your My Edge card, and every roller wins. It's the 50K Roll to Riches on Saturdays at the only Mississippi-owned casino in Vicksburg. Waterview Casino, your home for fun. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-777-9696.
Community means being there, putting others first, lifting them up, and letting them shine.
At Bank Plus, our core purpose is to enrich lives and build stronger communities, which is why every decision is made by local bankers who know their neighbors and neighborhoods and know how to help, how to make it count, how to make it work. Bank Plus, it's more than a name, it's a promise. Learn more at bankplus.net. Member FDIC.
Briarwood Wine and Spirits on Old Canton Road in Jackson now has Volteo Reposado Tequila. Super premium, 100% additive free, and 100% blue agave. Briarwood Wine and Spirits now has Volteo Reposado Tequila. They also have Tito's and Elijah Craig Bourbon. And Nathan and Leslie and the team are super knowledgeable on wine. Check out Briarwood
I'm
Wine and
𝐌𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐢 Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that, what that is. That's real green onion, like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com, at a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're going to run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. You get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with.
at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. And in the home studio, I got hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. New Albany is a beautiful little town. I really, really like New Albany. It's about, about a 15 to maybe 20 minutes, probably less, drive from where I live. And, man, it's a great place. Beautiful little town. I like it a lot. I could move there. Yeah, absolutely. I could do it. I could do it. I wouldn't be moving far either. But that's where High Point Roasters is. The oldest coffee roasters operation in Mississippi. And you go to their website, highpointroasters.com, get your own. It comes in big bags. So it might cost a little more for a bag, but it's more of it. You're not going to run out as soon. You can get already ground or whole bean, single origin from all over the world. Blends that they've come up with and invented. This is the campfire blend right here. Oh, the only thing wrong with it is that I made it so early this morning, poured it in the thermos. It's hot, but it's not really hot enough. I need it really hot. I need it almost boiling. That's what I want. And so it's cooled off in that thermos just a little bit. But still, I am not complaining. So having a good time here on a Wednesday. Yeah, I'm going to go watch practice. I vow to spend some time watching the quarterbacks, and I'll tell you about it maybe next week when we get on the radio. Because everybody's concerned with quarterbacks. Everybody. Right? Who's going to be the quarterback? Who is the backup? The backup is always better than the starter, right? Think about it. The backup quarterback is always better than the starter, right? Only a few cases where Mahomes, Brady, other than that, Peyton, other than that, the backup's always better, right? That's the idea. Why is that? They should do like a psychological study on the average sports fan and figure out what this phenomena is of always gravitating towards the idea that we're not playing the best quarterback right now. So we're playing the other guy for some reason. Guy on the bench is better. Why do we do that? So I got quarterback. Okay, I'm going to jot it down so that when I chase a rabbit here in a minute, I won't forget to come back to QBs. Because I had a thought. I mentioned to you, in the previous hour about going and watching quarterbacks, and then during the break I had a thought. Light bulb went. Well, I don't know that it went, but it sizzled a little bit. The light bulb over my head sizzled. I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. First, though, on the Country Pleasing text line. That's Country Pleasing Sausage. Side note, Homecoming Queen came home from the grocery store last night. She had some jalapeno and cheddar Country Pleasing in that sack. I didn't need that for me to love her anymore, but man, it didn't hurt. The number to text is 885-3776. 601 number, 885-3776. Yeah, Hunter spider pads. I think that's what, we call them shells, but the spider pad things are like protective. You wear it. I guess you could wear them under your shoulder pads, and maybe some do, but they'll wear those things under their jersey for a little bit of protection on days that they don't have any pads on other than a helmet. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, what bothered me the most about summer two-a-days, he said our field at O'Bannon would be varying degrees of flooded all spring so that by August you could have little bald spots and just absolutely hard-baked mud that would break apart and stab you. It's terrible. Coach made us start and end every practice with bear crawls through obstacles in that crap. He said, and your hands would look like you just dragged them through gravel afterwards. That's tough. Yeah, that's tough right there, Jason. Y'all had it rough. Listen, I had at Prattville High School, shout out my man Scott, who texted me earlier. He's a former Prattville Lion. After that, went and started at Hines and then at Auburn. He knows a little bit about it. But, Scott, it was different when you were there. Okay, I came along after you. I had 4 different head coaches in 4 years of high school. Every year we had a different head coach in high school. And every one of them ran a different offense. Okay? But one of those coaches, we didn't have 2-a-days. We had 3-a-days. I want to say it was like 8 days of 3-a-day practices. That was my junior year of high school. A coach named Ronnie Peacock. I love him to death. He was a heck of a guy. After he left Prattville, they ran him off. They didn't like him because he threw the ball. Something like that. He came in there, we were running the run and shoot. We threw it all over the field. They ran him off. But he went to Arkansas and got famous, like big-time wins and won a bunch of stuff. And like they made a documentary about him and the team up there in the Rogers area. Great guy. Ronnie Peacock. We had 3-a-day practices. He says, I think it was 8 days of it. It was a weird thing. We were up there practicing at 8. Then we came back at, I think 3. And then we go home and eat supper, and we had to be back up there at 8 o'clock. Yeah, night practice. And we do lots of special teams, but then other stuff too in that night practice. We practiced 3 times a day. I mean, back then, nobody's watching anything. You could do anything you wanted. If the parents didn't complain, you could do anything you wanted. Scott, yes. He said, did you have Coach Gibbs? We had him 1 year. So when I was a freshman in high school, that was Coach Wasden's last year, Bobby Wasden. Some of y'all listening that are Auburn fans may remember that name because his son, Shane Wasden, was a receiver and punt returner at Auburn in the, don't quote me on this, but I think late 80s maybe early 90s. But, yeah, Coach Bobby Wasden, he won a state championship at Prattville in the mid-80s. Kevin Turner, remember the big fullback running back for like the Patriots and Eagles in the NFL? Kevin Turner played at Prattville High School for Coach Wasden. And my distant cousin, Chris Turner, was a quarterback of that Prattville team that won a state championship in 84. But anyway, Coach Wasden was retiring. His final year was my freshman year. So then the next year, my sophomore year, they made Eddie Gibbs, his defensive coach, the head coach. And he was our head coach for 1 year. And then my junior year after that, we had Coach Peacock. And then my senior year, they went and got Coach Tommy Lucas from Starkville High School in Mississippi. Tommy Lucas. And lots of people listening in Mississippi knew of and had heard of Coach Tommy Lucas. So 4 head coaches, Scott, in 4 years of high school. My freshman year was the last year for a legendary coach in Bobby Wasden. And my senior year was the first year for who was a legendary coach in Mississippi, Tommy Lucas. 4 different offenses, 4 different terminologies, 4 different styles of play. It was a really interesting time for sure. I mean, especially, playing quarterback. And Scott said, 1989, Coach Wayman was also on the 1957 national championship team for the Auburn Tigers. Really? Wow. That's cool. Coach Wasden, yeah. Okay, Scott, I don't think I realized that. I don't think I realized that Coach Wasden played on that 57 national championship team. That is really cool. I tell you, man, I thought a lot of him. I really did. Grumpy texts the show. He says, dang, Matt, 1059 listed first, Hail State. What are you talking about? What's he talking about? Grumpy, I missed it, what the reference was right there. Real C texted and he talking about quarterbacks. He said, "I'm just happy that we have options." All right, so let's go back to that real quick. Real C, I'll tell you what I was thinking. Mentioned going and watching quarterbacks. Okay, so when I make the statement, the backup quarterback's always the best, right? we need our heads examined. All this practice, all this stuff, they name some guy the starting quarterback and start playing him and decide they're going to ride with him. That's kind of the way they do it. And then everybody just automatically, like, as soon as he makes a mistake, well, that kid over there riding a bench wouldn't have done that. Play the other guy. And almost always, not every single case, but just about every single case, the coaches are doing what's best. They are playing the guy they ought to be playing in just about all those cases. Not everyone. But it's funny how we do that. And I'm just, okay, let's just put it out there. Let's look at Mississippi State's situation specifically right now where they are. Real C, you say, I'm just glad we have options. So, yeah, Shapen, Taylor, freshman from Knoxville County, super duper prospect. Croman Hawk, kid from Florida State, transferred in from Florida State. And then there's some others there, but I'm not really exactly sure who it is just yet. And you can already see, here you go, catchphrase, the handwriting on the wall. You can already kind of see what's going to happen, Real C, is if he's healthy, they're going to play Blake Shapen for obvious reasons. And it should be obvious to everybody, if he's healthy come the first ball game. And as soon as he has a bad quarter or a couple of bad series, there will be squalling and gnashing of teeth to play Kamario Taylor. And, also possibility exists, if Shapen gets a little banged up or has to come out for a series or two. Well, they'll put Taylor in there. And I do believe that he's the kind of player that he's going to flash. And once he's out there, it's going to be hard to get him off the field. And again, if you look at reality, not what fans want, not what gets the most attention, not what gets you the most excited, on a radio show. No, the reality is, what's best for the team, the most experienced guy who can process everything. We're not talking about athletically. We're talking about who can process everything consistently that a defense can possibly throw at you. That's the guy who's really best to have on the field if you can have him out there. And, athletic ability, those size, all that kind of stuff, upside notwithstanding, long term. That's what's best. But it's coming. There will come a time when you'll have people throwing a fit to start Taylor. And then there are rare cases, and maybe this will be one, we'll see, where it just becomes obvious that just because he's a freshman, he's got to be out there. He is the best one, and that's up to the coaches to figure that out. If he is, put him in there and roll with it. But if he's not, because, again, I guess what I'm saying is, you don't, if you're not at practice every day, you're not really able to make up your mind on that. You're going to, the coaches are there every day. They know everything about it. They're going to figure out who needs to be playing. And the other thing is, you, as a coach, you better play the guy who is the best at getting your team up and down the field and in the end zone. You better play that guy because your team isn't fooled. You can't fool the team. By the time, when you have these preseason quarterback competitions at different schools, and everybody's tuning in to see like who they're going to name the starter, when are they going to do it? By the time they actually do go to a press conference, sit in front of a microphone, tell the media or anything else, here's who is QB1. Long before that, the team already knew. That's the most important thing anyway. And the team already knew. By the time you get to game prep, about a week and a half before the first ball game, the whole football team already knows who their best quarterback is. They already know. You don't even have to announce it. They know. And as a coach, whether he's the most liked guy, whether he's the oldest or the youngest, whoever that guy is that is obviously the best at getting your team up and down the field in the end zone, you better play him. You can't fool your team. And the thing is, too, you look at Camario Taylor. I had a chance to talk to him recently. He is as sharp as a tack. I mean, bright, tall, broad-shouldered, built physically just exactly what you would hope your quarterback is built like. And, his ability and everything, he does not at all throw the ball like a kid out of high school. You can't even see his ceiling. You can't even see it. It's so far up there. And so, almost from a like a personal responsibility standpoint, if you're coaching him, you prioritize developing him the right way at the right pace so that he can maximize that. And sometimes there's guys like that where, if somebody gets hurt, it's a necessity you play them. But if not, if you can avoid it, you don't throw them to the wolves right away, because you're kind of looking down the road. You're looking out for them down the road in the long term. And that's part of coaching too. But what you have to have, and the guy you have to play, is the one that is not necessarily the fastest, not necessarily the best arm, not necessarily in every case the biggest, the hardest to tackle. No, it's the guy who, across 4 entire quarters, everything that a multi-million-dollar defensive coordinator who's 50 years old and experienced can possibly throw at you, which kid can process it the best, the most often. That's what the position is about. It's part of the reason sometimes I'll make fun of the arm strength conversation. How far you can throw it. And the arm strength deal. I'll make fun of that a little bit. Or the fastest deal. Like the guy who told me I was a fool for saying that Matt Corral's running ability was not going to factor into the NFL for him at all. And the guy on the phone told me I was a fool. I think that's the word he used. And turned out I wasn't. I was right about it. It's because at that level, SEC, and certainly at the pro level, but at the SEC level, it is mostly about which guy in 1.8 to 2.5 seconds can process the other 21 players on the field and get the ball where it's supposed to go the most often. That's what it's about. I mean, and there it is. And so you want to have some success. Hunter was talking about the improvement on defense is a big part of it. They got to improve a lot on offense too. Make no mistake, at times last year they looked like a good offense, but they were as inconsistent as anybody else in the league. And that's why they were just, by the end of it, they weren't a good offense. It's you want to improve, and Shapen's got a leg up because he's so much older. And I've been there, it's a long time ago, but when you walk out on the field, it's something about being one of the oldest guys out there, that experience thing, it's like it just slows everything down. It just changes everything. It slows it all down when you go out. Now all of a sudden I'm the oldest guy out here. Some of these kids, like, they look like babies, you know? And there's something about that. And that's why I say, like, until we see a little more, I'm going into like watching the practices thinking, yeah, I mean, Blake is so much older. What's best is he can stay healthy and take the majority of your snaps for you this year, because he's just going to be farther along in the ability, most likely, to process things in 2 seconds every single play of a ball game. 75 plays a ball game, because the matchup in the SEC is not quarterback versus defense. It's not offensive coordinator versus defensive coordinator. No, the matchup is quarterback versus defensive coordinator. There's the matchup. And there's a lot of really young, talented players at quarterback who, in their first run at it, trying to handle a whole ballgame at that level, after a game or two and they get film on you, those coordinators will chew you up and spit you out. And they have a harder time doing that with older guys, because older guys have seen everything before. They process much quicker. They anticipate a little better. So it's more, you know, being effective and who you decide to play is a whole lot more about processing what's going on in the field than it is who's got the strong arm, who's the biggest, who's the fastest. Those factor at some point, but they're not the most important factor. All right, rolling along with you, I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. Say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up to a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, you know, he said this may be something I like to do, because he knew I was involved in the community, and what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade, and what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and, you know, we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage.
At thezone1059.com.
All right, on YouTube, Sven commented, he said the problem we had last season was that Levy didn't get Van Buren on board and brought Chapin back. He says, I like him, but he had way too many injuries for me over the years. And so what Sven is saying is that he would have rather had Van Buren back this year than Chapin, is what Sven is saying right there. We're talking about, preseason practice and the old school two-a-days. Craig said the Mississippi Heat during the two-a-days was rough. I mean, that's the biggest part of it. Just dealing with that heat, pretty rough. Sven said Chapin has to survive at least the games until Tennessee and beat all three of those lower level schools. From there, I have no problem playing Camario Taylor. That's Sven on the YouTube live stream. Delta Tide fan texted us on the Country Pleasing text line, and he said, you forgot Mac Jones being the starting quarterback and Bryce Young being the backup. Based on the fact that Mac Jones was a quarterback on the national championship winning team, Bryce Young wasn't, he said. And so the insinuation, saying Bryce Young better than Mac Jones, and that the only reason he didn't play is because he came back. But again, Delta Tide fan, you have to factor in the experience too. Bryce Young's phenomenal. He did phenomenal things throughout his career, but Bryce Young as a first year, he's good, but you see what I'm saying? Like, feet on the ground in that particular year, you're not guaranteed that he's going to bring you the same results that an experienced Mac Jones will at that point in their development compared to each other. You see what I mean? So it's like looking at these guys in the transient way, like a transient property, and you can't do that. I don't think. I wouldn't if I were coaching. Most coaches don't, and I think the reason they don't is because it just makes sense not to. You said, other than that, with Bama, our backups tend to be slightly better than our starting quarterbacks. He said, case in point, Tua being the backup quarterback, Jalen Hurts being the starter. Tua won a national championship. Jalen did not. Okay, and another, that'd be for another discussion for another time. Delta Tide fan is we give the successes to one player. I don't know. I just don't go along with that stuff. I really don't. That'd be like saying, because if we're doing that, now I know that's an extreme example. Okay, you see what I'm saying? But if you're going, Tua won a national championship, Jalen did not. Here's another one. I'm going to use the same thing, but I'm going to replace the names. You ready? Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Dan Marino did not. Now, no. I am not saying that Tua is Trent Dilfer. and that Jalen Hurts is Dan Marino. No, I'm just doing an example. I think it is a big fault of ours. I've done it before too, Delta Tide fan. I think it's a big fault of ours as just in general as fans to take team accomplishments and slap them onto individuals, because that's a really faulty thing. Really faulty way to look at the individual players. And then you said, although Mac Jones was the backup quarterback the year Tua kept getting hurt all the time. Well, and you forget, I mean, Mac Jones got drafted in what round? Has been an NFL starter. Teams are different. Organizations are different. Situations are different. Did any of those other guys come along right behind Tom Brady? No. And, you know, again, back to the Tua Jalen Hurts thing, who's won Super Bowls? You see what I mean? So I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying I would, friend to friend, I would say, think on these terms versus the one that the typical, you know, call-in show, message board deal does regarding quarterbacks. Jason in Flagstaff. Let me go back here, all right, because we're going to drum this back up probably. Jason said, yeah, a bunch of State fans the whole time Coach Leach was there. Leach is an offensive genius, but also he's so stupid to play this severely limited quarterback with a weak arm to run it with much better options on the bench. He said it makes no sense. And you're right. It's both sides of your mouth at once. Leach is a genius, but he's a dummy for playing this one guy. Okay. Then he said, this is exactly why I defend Will Rogers to this day. He, with whatever perceived limitations, ran that offense in 2020 like a seasoned veteran as a true freshman when the prototypical NFL quarterback, projected high draft pick, he's talking about Costello, out of Stanford, he says, was throwing 4 interceptions a game. And, and then regarding two-a-days, he says, remember the pickle juice? Oh, yeah. That really did it for you, didn't it? No, but, I mean, it's pretty clear, Jason, that Will absolutely could run that air raid offense. And they call him check down, but that was part of the offense. That's what he's supposed to be doing. And by doing so, they protected the ball and they got some shots down the field. Because if you didn't take the check down stuff, everybody's just dropping. And that's what Costello ran into. Is everybody just dropping, and he couldn't stand in there and do the check down thing, which is kind of understandable. It's hard to do. But, it's like the Leach version of the air raid was the perfect offense for Will Rogers. It was perfect for him. And he had some success in it, and at times some real success in it. And it was because he was the best they had. He was by far the best they had, the best option they had at processing the other 21, particularly the 11 on the other side, and knowing where the ball should go the most often and being right about it. Think about it. An example there would be Sawyer Robertson, right? He's the starter at Baylor, isn't it right? Who's starting off with Baylor this year? Somebody's got him. Auburn does. So they're playing Baylor. Isn't he the starter at Baylor? I believe that's right. Physically, weight room, stature, arm strength, velocity on the ball, maybe even distance for whatever that matters. It doesn't really matter. All those things, those are all check marks to Sawyer Robertson. They were when he was there. But if you saw Sawyer, I mean, it was really clear he was not ready to run that offense and run 75 plays in a ball game against these other defenses because he wasn't ready to process. He couldn't every play consistently enough process what's going on quickly enough. He couldn't do it. He wasn't ready to do it. speaking of that game, so yeah, he's at Baylor. Sven says Sawyer Robertson, Baylor versus Arnold at Auburn, and his prediction is it will end 31-17 Baylor. He's saying Baylor's going to beat Auburn 31-17 in the first game. Sven also said either Tua or Hurts would have started on 99.9% of all college football teams without any question, and I agree with that. You know, I remember giving an interview with a guy who was writing, I don't know if it's out yet or not. I think he was writing a book about all that stuff. And back during that time, I was doing a lot of breakdown videos and film study videos of different things. And it was really clear that Tua came along really special as a college quarterback. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody from the first play he ever got in there that could process quicker what was happening than Tua was doing. It was really a sight to see. And then I think the quote I gave him was, you know, the only way I differentiate between those two guys, Tua and Hurts, is they're both draft picks. They're both NFL quarterbacks. It's just Tua is a first rounder. Now, you know, and then he got hurt and it changed some things for him, but that's the way I looked at it. Yeah, but I agree with you on that. Hey, Delta Tide fan, thanks for the pictures of the fish and congrats. My man can catch them. Look at this. He can catch them. You think so? You think Baylor beats Auburn 31-17? See, I kind of lost track of what Baylor did last year, too. I think they were kind of up and down, right? Week 1, I don't see. So 2 weeks from this Saturday is what we used to call week 0. Okay, I got a problem with the fact that they're including it in quote unquote week 1 of the schedule. How can it be week 1 when it's not 1 week? It's all the games for 2 weeks. But anyway, who cares? But you don't have any SECs doing the week 0 deal. It's all they're all playing in the weekend of the 30th. Now Missouri will start on a Thursday night, and that's actually the 28th. Does anybody else pre-30th in the SEC? I'm not sure. No, I think Missouri's the only one. And Auburn starts on a Friday, so that Auburn and Baylor game is going to be on a Friday. All right, a little bit of time left with you when we come back in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Back after this.
This is Jake Mangum, former Mississippi State Bulldog.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down, hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
You're going to hear about them all and get to talk about it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team. Yeah, Sven said week 0 is Kansas State versus Iowa State and 1 game at Hawaii. Sven, are you going to the Kansas State, Iowa State game in Dublin? I couldn't remember if you said you were going this year. Seemed like you did. Did I dream that up? It would be a neat experience. Okay, but this is what I'm saying about it. It's a matter of semantics. They are not calling that week 0 anymore. Do you remember? I used to go off on it, and then it's almost like everybody was collectively going off on it, and they changed it. But my beef with calling it week 0 is it didn't make any sense to say, okay, these games are being played this particular Saturday. It's early in the year. The games do count, but it's not week 1. It's week 0. Week 1's not till next week when Notre Dame plays and Alabama and Ohio State. When those teams play, then it's really week 1. But if it's just little OU and you're early, it can't be week 1, it's week 0 because it's the week before. But I'm like, it can't be week 0. 0's nothing. That makes no sense. And then my other issue with it was, okay, I guarantee you, if Notre Dame was playing a week early, it'd be week 1. Well, they've taken away this whole week 0 moniker. They're just calling it week 1. Problem with that is it takes 2 weeks. Or a week and a day. It takes more than 1 week is the point. Still more than 1 week. So it can't be week whatever. You guys got to be plural. But it's not important enough to go any further. But those aren't the only games. I mentioned it earlier. I was looking at this schedule. Here you go, Sven. So 2 weeks from this Saturday, it'll be Saturday, August 23rd, 11 a.m. Central Time on the acronym. Iowa State, Kansas State from Dublin, Ireland. Sven says, you better bet I'll be there. So, all right. Hope you have a great time, Sven. We want to hear all about it. That same day, Dan Mullen and UNLV at 3 p.m. will play Idaho State. I don't see a lick of television for that. So see, thing about that one is it'll be hot in Las Vegas on August the 23rd at 3 p.m. But Dan Mullen's first game he's going to coach at UNLV is not going to be on television, so he could wear shorts. It doesn't matter. Nobody will know. They can't see. 5:30 on that day, 2 weeks from this Saturday. Fresno State at Kansas. Who is the SEC team that plays Kansas? Is it Missouri playing Kansas this year? Yep, Missouri and Kansas in week 2. So see, I guess Kansas, they're getting an early start. So will they have played, does that mean Kansas will have played 2 games before they play Missouri? Hold on, I'll tell you. Yep. So they will open on Saturday, August 23rd against Fresno, and then Kansas the next week will play on a Friday versus Wagner before their 3rd game of the year, which is at Missouri, and what is week 2 for Missouri. Y'all confused? Y'all care? All right, moving on. Also, 2 weeks from this Saturday, on the 23rd, you get Sam Houston at Western Kentucky that night in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Have y'all ever been to Bowling Green, Kentucky, or through there? Couple of things about it. Number one, it is a beautiful part of the country. That part of Kentucky, up, in, and through and around there, gorgeous. Especially later in the fall. I mean, it is pretty farmland. And then the other thing is, they have the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. You're like, so? Well, I'm just telling you. And then that night, 2 weeks from this Saturday, you get Stanford and Hawaii. You're right. Hawaii always seems to play one of those early games. Okay, do you care about preseason? You're going to be watching preseason football this week? What's today, the 6th? All right, tomorrow night, Thursday night, you get 3 preseason games. Colts and Ravens. Bengals versus the Eagles, and the Raiders versus the Seahawks. All right, so you get 3 preseason games tomorrow. You'll get 3 more preseason games on Friday. The Friday games this week, preseason, week 1 preseason. That includes the Lions versus the Falcons, the Commanders against the Patriots, and, as noted, the Cleveland Browns and the Panthers. Friday night, 6 p.m. NFL Network. The reason you might be interested is they said that the Browns are going to start Shedeur Sanders in this first preseason game. He'll be QB1 in their first preseason game. I don't know if that means he's winning the job or what. But you get your first look at him in some game action. You know, and here's the thing about it. Say what you want. Everybody's going to watch that. Everybody is going to want to watch and see what Shedeur Sanders looks like in that preseason game for the Browns Friday night. And then a whole stack of preseason games on Saturday. The Cowboys are in L.A. because they're out there for their preseason camp anyway. Chiefs are in Arizona. The Saints' first preseason game isn't until Sunday. There's only 2 preseason games this Sunday, but it does include the Saints, and they'll scrimmage against the Chargers out there in the same stadium that the Cowboys and Rams will earlier, 2 days earlier. And then also Dolphins and Bears on Sunday. So, yeah. They're going to do a Monday deal? Do Monday preseason? Oh, here's the other. I totally meant to ask you all this early in the show and just forgot it. Maybe you could hold on to this for tomorrow. Did anybody watch the first episode of the new Hard Knocks? NFL Hard Knocks. I think it's the Bills this year. Behind the scenes of an NFL training camp on NFL Hard Knocks. If you did, I want to talk, because I didn't see it. I need a review and I need some advice on whether I ought to spend some time looking into it or not. Anyhow, let me know. Jason in Flagstaff says, I think UNLV plays in the Raiders stadium, don't they? Yeah, I think so. I think they share that with the Raiders. You think Mullen's going to have some success at UNLV this year? Year one? Or just overall, do you think he's going to have some success? I'll be honest with you, I do. They leave him alone. Let him coach football. He's kind of old school in the way he goes about it. I don't know if it actually, if people have put up with it too much. Yeah, he'll have them winning there eventually. Idaho State, 2 weeks from this Saturday. Week 2 at Sam Houston. This is Dan Mullen and UNLV. Week 3, they host UCLA. Week 4 at Miami of Ohio. And then at Wyoming. Host Air Force. Go to Boise. They'll lose that one. Host New Mexico. And then at Colorado State. Host Utah State and Hawaii. Season finale rivalry game at Nevada. See, look, Sven, like him or not, I mean, he's a real horse's rear end a lot. Okay? But like him or not, Sven says, where did Mullen not win? He's a flat-out winner and a top 3 offensive coordinator at worst. I mean, how are you going to argue with that? He'll have him winning there at UNLV. Okay, but I'll go ahead and say it now, just in case you're wondering. I'm not going to come in here every week and give you a UNLV update just because Mullen's coaching them. Okay, if it comes up, we watch the game, all right, fine. But otherwise, no, we're not doing that. Now, if Levy moves on and they hire Mullen, then we'll be talking about Mullen again. But that's different. Okay, and don't run and misquote me there and stir up a bunch of you-know-what. I didn't say that's happening. So don't quote me on that. Okay, fun show today. We're getting closer and closer to kicking it up in the air and throwing and catching and blocking and tackling, and I cannot wait. Closer and closer we get. All right, for Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. I appreciate you tuning in. We'll line up tomorrow, put the ball down, do the same thing. Same time, same place. See you then. See ya.